Well.
Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today we're going to check out the Force Link 3 3/4 inch General Hux from the Last Jedi line of cards. So let's head to that table and check this one out. And this does come to us, of course, on that Last Jedi line of cards. You got a great image of General Hux on the right side with that fist held up, clenched, like you would kind of expect of his character, I suppose. And then, of course, on the left side, you do see the figure with some included accessories through the bubble. Now, to note, there were two versions of this figure available on release. One, you had the mouse droid underneath the blaster, and it was also facing forward. And then on the other version, the mouse droid was on top of the blister, facing sideways with the blaster underneath. Flipping over to the back side, it's nothing new here. Big advertisement basically for Force Link, showing you that the figure is Force Link compatible. And off to the right side, you got a little image of that Force Link starter set, which includes Kylo Ren. And the bottom half of the card is, of course, a bunch of legal information. And taking a look at the figure out of the packaging, I'm going to say it. This is a great looking figure. Very surprised at how this version of Hux came out. I think it's much better than what we got for the Forces Awaken line version of General Hux. And it's not to say that that was a horrible figure. I don't think the head sculpt was there. It was close, but not, not entirely accurate. It's not to say that this figure doesn't have its faults, which, as we go in closer on the head area, this is going to be the point where really the only thing I can find wrong with it is I do think that the hair is a little too orange, a little too bright in color. I do think that the tone of the color that was on the Force Awakens version was much closer to how he appeared in the movie. But otherwise, as far as the head sculpting goes, I think it's a very good representation of General Hux. He does come to us this time without a hat molded onto the head. I think that's a great look as well, so that if you do have one figure, now you've got him another way. And here's a look at these figures side by side real quick for that head area, so you can kind of see how the Force Awakens version on the right looked, along with the Last Jedi that we're checking out now on the left side. And as you can see, or at least in my opinion, I think they captured the likeness of Donald Gleason much better on this newer figure. Going in on the rest of the figure, he does have this outer cloak on, which you can remove if you choose. I'll get into that a little bit later. But detailing through the arms area and upper part of that chest is looking really nice. I like the lines that are molded in on that robe of his. Got a little bit of silver painting on that belt buckle there. And then on his left sleeve, you see the First Order emblem there on his upper part of his shoulder. And some silver straps wrapping around the sleeve of his coat as well. And removing that outer trench coat does give you an alternate look at this figure, which I believe is probably going to be accurate to what we're going to see in The Last Jedi. At least looking at him from The Force Awakens, he still has that emblem on his left sleeve, the silver lines on the cuff of his sleeve as well. So this would appear to be potentially a screen accurate figure still, even without that trench coat being on the figure. They molded some seam lines on the shoulder area of the arm itself, so that still blends in nicely even without the trench coat on. And if that was on, or that outer shell, it extends out past the shoulders a bit so that it covers up those lines. You're not noticing that. So I really like that that works out that way. And then getting to the lower half of the figure, the leg area, well, that cloth, it's molded plastic. Plenty of wrinkle detailing in there. And then the boots have a nice glossy look to it. So it's a really sharp looking figure. As far as the articulation goes, the head is, of course, on a ball joint. So no problem with rotation through there. You get your side to side and a little bit up and down. At the arm area, both arms, of course, go up and down. And then at the leg area, both legs come forward. And you got a little notch in the back side here of his coat. So you get a little bit of backward leg movement as well. As far as his accessories, he's got two of them. First up, his weapon. This is the same black molded piece of plastic that we had for his weapon in Force Awakens. You do get a little bit deeper black coloring in this plastic compared to the Force Awakens version. And I'd even say the details in the sculpting or in the molding as represented in the weapon are just a little bit more defined here as well. Second accessory comes with is a little mouse droid. This is very similar to the one that came with Galen Erso, except it's just a little bit smaller in scale. And the panels are not removable on this one. It's just the one molded piece of plastic, minus the wheels. Those are separate. He can roll a little bit, but you kind of got to help it out.
We shall destroy the resistance. We have their location. Capture the droid if we can, but destroy it if we must.
And then sliding that figure forward. Get you your blaster sounds.
Bow to the First Order!
Alright, I like that line being delivered. So that wraps up the sound effects on him. Sounds pretty good, and I think that was all from Force Awakens. So overall, yeah, I think this is a great looking figure. I think it's a very nice upgrade from the one that we got from the Force Awakens line. And getting a bonus mouse droid is always nice. And so that wraps up this look at General Hux from the Last Jedi line. I'd love to know your thoughts on this figure in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.